In the Free State, a 52-year-old farmer has been arrested in connection with yesterday's violence outside a Senekal court. Protesters stormed the courthouse. Now, two men yesterday were appearing in connection with the murder of farm manager Brendan Horner that occurred last Friday. Protesters are accused of damaging the court building and setting fire to a police van. Well, I'm joined now by the Police Minister spokesperson, Lirandzu Themba. Hello, Lirandzu. Thank you very much for joining us. What can you tell us about this arrest of this 52-year-old today?
Well, thank you so much, Sally, for having me. Well, the minister in his statement last night basically called on the arrest of the people that have been responsible for these chaotic scenes that unfolded, as we saw yesterday. And of course, a high-level team was put together to basically look at all possible leads and find those people and bring them to book. And we are really glad to announce that the first arrest has been made. A 52-year-old farmer has been arrested. We believe that he is from the Senekal area, and he has a case to answer to with regards to the alleged torching of the police vehicle. And as you've mentioned in your intro, we are expecting more results similar to this one.
Can you give us any sort of timeline? How many people are you pursuing at this stage?
The fact that this suspect is not going to be appearing in court tomorrow gives us an indication that, arrests are quite imminent. As I've mentioned, that a team has been put together that also includes the crime intelligence as well as the DPCI, just to look at all possible leads. We know that there's plenty of footage that exists from yesterday, which the police will be relying on as well, Sally, to make sure that these people, all demonstrators, who, by the way, were heavily armed yesterday, are really brought to book, because not only did they undermine the rule of law, but at the same time, they really demanded to get inside the police cells and get these two suspects that appeared for the murder of Mr. Horner to be handed over to them. And we wonder what would have happened if they got their way. So thankfully, there was reinforcement from the police service, and this situation was contained, albeit after the torching as well as the vandalism of the court property.
Yeah. So my understanding then from what you're saying is that the reason this 52-year-old might not appear in court tomorrow is that you're waiting for more arrests and then they will appear as a group. Am I correct?
Absolutely, Sally. We are really confident that there will be more arrests. In fact, the minister has called for more arrests, saying that these actions were not done by a single person. Evidence suggests that it was a collective effort that really seeked to undermine the rule of law, and there will be more arrests to follow.
All right. Could you give us an indication of the kind of charges that this 52-year-old farmer and others who are likely to be arrested soon will face? Because, as you say, they were heavily armed, but also they attacked courthouse property, they attacked police property. Does that carry a more serious charge than if they'd perhaps attacked an individual's car?
Absolutely. We've seen in the past that people that have had a similar charge have been taken away for about over 5 years, Sally. So it is quite a serious charge that is being faced here. But more than anything, they will be charged for damage to property as well as, public violence. So I think as the investigations wrap up, we will be seeing more charges being added or being abstracted. But for now, the fact that this 52-year-old farmer has a case to answer to, which is one of his alleged involvement in the torching of this police vehicle. But more than anything, I think it really speaks to the minister, who has time and time again, and of course also what we've seen when we saw these protests emanating from the Clicks advert, is that, just calling on South Africans to, yes, exercise their right to demonstrate, but ensure that they do it responsibly, because it is not absolute, Sally. People have to be responsible for what they do, and they also have to ensure that there are no damages to property and so forth, because if that is the case, they will have to face the full might of the law.
And, it's an interesting one, Lirandzu, because of the racial element. Straight after the news about the farmers attacking the courthouse, the EFF came out and said it's absolutely outrageous that these arrests have not been made. There's clearly one set of rules for white protesters and another for black protesters. And I was just going to check with you whether the police minister condemned the protests outside the courthouse yesterday as strongly as he condemned what happened outside Clicks, where we saw businesses firebombed.
Absolutely. The minister was disgusted, Sally, about what happened yesterday in his statement, very heavily worded, saying that the sort of anarchy and lawlessness cannot be repeated. And of course, you know, as much as there are those inferences of color, we received a full report from the Free State as to why the police acted the way they did yesterday regarding this group of armed demonstrators, many of which were farmers who were armed with pistols and live ammunition, you know, without putting too much violence. But it's like it would have been like bringing a knife to a gunfight, Sally, where we saw police officers who were armed with rubber bullets being confronted by individuals that are carrying live ammunition. So it was dealt with as best as it could. At the moment, there was a call for reinforcement. And we're quite happy as a police service and as a police ministry that what was done at the time was really to safeguard the people that were obviously around and to just ensure that there's no much further bloodshed. But of course, this doesn't stop the police from continuing with the investigations and making sure that those people, those individuals that brought that town to a standstill and creating all those chaotic scenes are brought to book. And this is what we are really encouraged by. And this first arrest is definitely going to be one of many.
Thank you very much, Lirandzu Themba, who speaks for our police minister, making the point that it was a highly volatile situation and police had to handle it very carefully because as the police brigadier we spoke to yesterday, he said there were possibly as many as 1,000 protesters, but only a small group of them engaged in the violent activity. And those are the ones who the police are hot on the heels of. One arrest, more to come.